Hey there, guys! Welcome back to Anthony Vlogs, where Anthony vlogs. So I don't want to go too crazy in depth with Spider-Man: Homecoming right now, just because there's so much to discuss, and I feel like that deserves a full discussion, maybe with some other blokes, um, probably some from across the world, if you know what I mean. So I want to talk about one thing in particular that I don't like about this movie, and that is really the Peter Parker side of things. In my opinion, from what I can tell, Peter Parker himself, things, and Sam puts this really well in the Fix It and Post review he did on Oliver's channel. Basically saying that it's eased. His problems are eased in the film. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot of consequences. Like, for example, and this is all spoiler stuff, I guess, when he goes to DC and he misses out on the academic competition, there's no real consequence for Peter Parker, in that moment for him missing out. It's not like his friends are like, "We trusted you, Peter, and you let us down, and we lost because you weren't there," that sort of thing. There's not that in the film. Instead, they win, and past that point, it's fine. Now, you could argue, well, the consequence is that later the Vulture finds out who his identity is. That's a consequence for Spider Man, not necessarily Peter Parker, in my opinion. Let me give you an example of what I mean. In the show Spectacular Spider Man, almost every episode has the same sort of problem for Peter is that Spider-Man gets the win, Peter Parker gets the loss. Like, there's an episode very early on about Dr. Connors. Essentially, he's turning into the lizard, and it's a big lizard problem, and at this point, Peter works at Dr. Connors' lab with Gwen and Eddie. And so when he turns into the lizard, Peter hightails it out of there to go be Spider-Man, but obviously they don't know that. And then while this is happening, he ends up taking photos for the Daily Bugle. And so, as for Spider Man, he saves the lizard, he gets photos. It's a win for Spider Man in that sense. But his friends at the lab all think it's like, Peter, you betrayed us. You left the lab in order to go get photos while Spider Man fought the lizard. Because they don't know he is Spider Man, obviously. So they lose their trust in Peter. And so Spider Man wins, he saves Dr. Connors, but because of that, Peter Parker no longer has the trust of his friends. Similar, even on a smaller scale, there's episodes where he'll defeat Electro, and then he'll come home and Aunt May's like, "You missed curfew, so you're grounded." That's great. Little things, just tiny bits and pieces there. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is chock full of that. Just little things where things are going well for Spider-Man, but for Peter Parker they're not. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion. And you don't get a lot of that in Homecoming. A lot of the stuff is just Tony Stark related as far as his issues and problems. And I wish there was a bit more of the Peter Parker problems. I didn't see a whole lot of problems with being Peter Parker. He seemed like he was fine in this movie. Like, he had friends, and he was really smart, and, excuse me, all that stuff. It didn't seem like a huge issue for Peter himself. And now there's even less issues because everyone knows his identity, so he doesn't have to hide it anymore. And yeah, and just I didn't get that struggle. The fact that Peter always has to do good as Spider-Man. So even though he knows he's gonna miss football, helping I'm confusing myself. Uh, what I mean is, it's like he'll miss chances to hang out with friends or help friends or be with loved ones because he has to be Spider-Man and save the day, and there's not a whole lot of that, and that's unfortunate to me. Another little nitpick. I really like whenever Spider-Man realizes he can't be Spider-Man. They mentioned it in Civil War, like, I could go out for the football team now, but I'm not going to because I didn't then and I shouldn't now. There's only like a little glimpse of that, and it's weird. Anyways, that's it. I'll probably someday maybe do like a comment, like not a commentary, but like a podcast with Kirk and Sam discussing all things Spider-Man and our issues because I feel like we need to get vocal about it and maybe explain a bit more because right now we're just shouting on like tweets on the internet and it can be a bit discombobulating. So yeah, that's really it. I don't talk in the comments if you want.